And so the
Mhm.
why I'm doing the why kind of for me. And, money is great, but I'm not like, I don't really find my happiness necessarily aligns with a certain, having an extreme amount of, you know what I'm saying? Like, so the idea for me is the most amount of people, like, maybe you saw this thing I posted a couple days ago for the new school year. We're going into 2026. Last year was 2025. And, something like 15 schools, 3,000, you know, 3,000 students, uh, 356 classes. Like, dude, those numbers are that's hot. And that's what, like, I get really, keyed up on that. I get really excited because like that's a substantial amount. And that's coming from, you're asking kind of the avenue. Sorry, roundabout.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
Um, got to fill out the 45 minutes somehow. uh, uh, speaking plainly, if I may speak plainly with you, yeah, so it started with individual lessons, and that was kind of like biking around. I was biking around New York City. Sometimes I'd clock 50 miles a day on the bike, and it gets snowy and it gets a little, but hey, it beat the heck out of whatever I was doing before that. So I took it. And then from there, the COVID hit, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, trigger warning. Yeah. And, the, COVID hit, and I had just kind of gone full time with my business.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I thought I was cooked. I figured this thing is, but then it all went to Zoom, and, the world didn't end, and we got through it. And then right after that, so now we're at like 2021 winter or so, and that's when I started working with the school. So that's about 4 years ago at this point. And since that time, we've been able to build it up to this kind of fever pitch, where we're working with these different arts organizations. And most recently, we got accepted as a DOE vendor, a Department of Education vendor. So that means my LLC can now work directly with the schools, which is a big step for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
which
That's
is
huge.
just a lot of, just a lot of paperwork, and kind of just like, it's why the book is so great. It was like the book touches on stuff like that, where it's just kind of chipping away by little, and it's kind of can feel a little overwhelming when you're doing a ton of that paperwork in the beginning. Like, I don't know what a lot of these documents are, you know and it's hard to figure out what they mean when I do find them. And,
Using
but
Chat GPT to try to figure what does this mean? What do
oh,
these
no
terms
way.
mean?
It's not good. This time, I don't trust it enough. I use it for something, I guess, but like, it's fallible. Yeah, still, which is a funny impasse we're at, where it kind of just hasn't caught up all the way.
All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Parenting Teens Today. I'm your host, Adam Episcopo. And today we are very lucky to have the musical legend, international folk hero, the touring recording artist, the creator, the renowned creator of the founder, rather, of the Ukulele Orchestra of New York, the one and only Jake Sayraf, aka Ukulele Jake. Jake, thank you so much for joining us today, man.
Dude, Adam, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you about the Yuki verse, get you indoctrinated. We'll get you all
Let's
uked up.
let's I love it. Let's go, man. So let's just dive into it. I want to just kind of ask you about your childhood and how this all got started. Were you born with a ukulele in your hands? Where did this passion for music? How did you fall in love with music? And just kind of give me your childhood, a little bit of your upbringing.
Sure, yeah. So I'm actually back here right now on tour doing some gigs in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is where it all kind of started for me. And if you know Ann Arbor, it's a super progressive town. It's kind of a bastion of education in Southeast Michigan and Midwest, and so the vibes in Ann Arbor are pretty heady. You know what I mean? Like, they're so music is a big part of that. It's kind of the arts is sort of, STEAM, the big, that's a kind of a buzzy word these days, is like, it was kind of, it's always been big on the STEAM, an emphasis on the arts. However, I didn't start playing the uke until I was 21. So I was an adult when I decided that this was going to be my my calling. I guess really say, if you're so lucky to find your calling, I think this might be it for me. At least at this phase. A lot of people have multiple careers too, so it's kind of like, I'm an enigma. But yeah. So growing up in Ann Arbor, I was in a band when I was in 18 or so. Just graduating from high school, and I uh, I had a great time in that band. I realized I had to learn an instrument on my own, and everybody was already good at guitar, so it's nice to take somebody to prom. Before that, too, I didn't want to just kind of whitewash over it. I was a troubled youth, man. I went to juvie for a while. I got into some trouble. Nothing bad. I didn't, hurt anybody or anything, but sometimes you get ensnared, and there's certain situations, in your family sometimes can lead to, it kind of starts there, in the home, at least with, the timbre of your childhood. So I would say, the parts of it were rocky. And, and so I didn't grow up with a ton of stability in my teenage years. And I felt very lost when I was, around the age of 21. And then I found the uke, and, I just felt like there was it was being kind of under leveraged in schools and just honestly in life, because like I'm telling you, I'm feeling very lost. Having something to reach out for, that wasn't carbonated or, not the greatest for your health. And it was just a really positive thing. And I just took to it immediately. Like once I got one, and I just never let it down, honestly. Yeah, it's like within arm shot of
Love
me.
it. I love that, man. It's such an interesting thing because, I think when you think of a teen or someone just picking up an instrument, their first instrument, I think of the piano, the drums, guitar, but ukulele, it has such like a cool sound. It makes me feel like you're on like a vacation, right? I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
small instrument. You can take it anywhere. It's peaceful. And so that's beautiful. And one of the things we always preach to our teens in our programs is find your tribe, find that instrument, find that club, find that sport, find something that you can put your time and energy to
Yeah, it
and
is
really
like an underdog. Yeah, it's an underdog kind of vibe with it. But also, I would say this is, you make a good point that it can be like super chill, like island vibes, But I venture to try and take the instrument to new lengths, right? Try and use it in a melancholic way,
Mhm.
right? And um the song Desperado. Desperado. Wado. That's a fun song to play on the uke, kind of surprisingly so. But yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
I checked. I know you have a new album out, and it is titled. Just want to make sure I'm getting this right. Direct line in. I checked
Direct
out my direct
directly.
line in. Yeah, one of the songs I heard on there that like I was jamming to like 2 days ago when I was kind of looking your stuff over was Snowshoe, Pennsylvania. I was jamming to that. Listened probably 3 times in a row. I just like the vibe of it, brother. It was just it was awesome. Really like it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of that one. And honestly, Adam, that song is so personal to me, and I feel like that kind of comes through in writing sometimes. You know what I mean? You really can't fake it, because we have all these big feelings, just as humans, and we have to have some place to put them. And that was a song that is dedicated to my friend Scotty, who's no longer with us, but yeah, he was a very talented sculptor. And he yeah, it came as a big shock, and so when I went back to New York, I was driving there, and halfway from New York to Ann Arbor, more or less, is a place called Snowshoe, Pennsylvania. And if you've never heard of it, well, you'll probably never hear of it again, because it's one stoplight town. But that's where I kind of pulled off, and that's where I wrote the song, and it was so. That's it's funny that I'm you're not the only person who's mentioned that song has stood out to them, and I think it's not coincidence,
Love it, man. That's so cool. So you were born in Michigan, Ann Arbor, right?
Mhm.
My mom actually was born in Michigan. My uncles live there. My mom's twin sister lives in Michigan. I think it was Muskegon. She was born, and they live in the Ludington area now. But
Beautiful.
you made the move to New York City. Was that a school, career, just opportunity? What was the reasoning behind that? What made you make that shift to New York?
So what you have to understand about me, Adam, is I'm extremely arrogant. I think so highly of myself. I said it's not hard enough here. This is a tiny town that I've already been here 20, my entire life. I know everybody. So
Yeah,
what's the hardest thing I can do? And it was there. It's for sure there, man. It's like New York is the arts town. Good one. New York is a money town, man. Money, dude. You know, if you ain't got the
totally.
dough, ray me. You're in California, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I live originally born in Tampa, Florida, and I made the big move to LA. Geez, it's been 11 years now. So I was kind of in a similar situation. I grew up my whole life in Tampa, went to high school, college there, and just wanted to get as far away as possible. And LA was always on my radar, just to get out, go do something. Like you said, challenge yourself. I didn't really know that many people out here, so I respect that. I totally get it. That's really cool that you
Yeah,
made
make
that
the
jump.
plunge. Yeah, you got to make the plunge.
Totally right. So,
Fortune
made the
favors. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So tell me a little bit about then your schools and your programs you offer. So I know you have different digital lessons you offer on through Zoom. I know I saw on your site you making all these appearances in your community. It's different schools, and you have daycares and after school programs and assemblies, workshops. Can you just give me like a little bit of a rundown of how that all kind of came to be and how you went from, I guess, recording artist, which you're still doing that obviously, but saying, hey, you know what, I want to start teaching. I want to, what did when did that transition happen, and what was the reasoning behind it?
I have this so the mission overall for me has always been how do I proliferate this to the best extent, do the most amount of good I can. And sometimes that's through writing a song that people connected with, that I'm so happy that you connected with Snowshoe. Um but also I know wanted to, you know, teach it because it was a great way to keep my career aligned with the uke, right?
Right.
And do something that I could still get excited for. Because, when you get burnt out on your job and, that spark leaves your eye there, I never really fully ever come back from that. And then my boss ends up just hating me. Like it's kind of followed a similar pattern. Just, like, are you going to quit or am I going to have to? Yeah. Um, but, so let's just kind of like an overview of like the mindset, right? And so the
Mhm.
why I'm doing the why kind of for me. And money is great, but I'm not like, I don't really find my happiness necessarily aligns with a certain, having an extreme amount of, you know what I'm saying? Like, so the idea for me is the most amount of people, like, maybe you saw this thing I posted a couple days ago for the new school year. We're going into 2026. Last year was 2025. And, something like 15 schools, 3,000, you know, 3,000 students, uh, 356 classes. Like, dude, those numbers are that's hot. And that's what, like, I get really, keyed up on that. I get really excited because like that's a substantial amount. And that's coming from, you're asking kind of the avenue. Sorry, it's roundabout.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
Um, got to fill out the 45 minutes somehow. uh uh Speaking plainly, with if I may speak plainly with you, yeah, so it started with individual lessons, and that was kind of like biking around. I was biking around New York City. Sometimes I'd clock 50 miles a day on the bike, and it gets snowy and it gets a little, but hey, it beat the heck out of whatever I was doing before that. So I took it, and then from there the COVID hit, right?
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
yeah, trigger warning. Yeah, and the COVID hit, and I had just kind of gone full time with my business.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I thought I was cooked. I figured this thing is, but then it all went to Zoom, and the world didn't end, and we got through it. And then right after that, so now we're at like 2021 winter or so, and that's when I started working with the school. So that's about 4 years ago at this point. And since that time, we've been able to build it up to this kind of fever pitch, where we're working with these different arts organizations. And most recently, we got accepted as a DOE vendor, a Department of Education vendor. So that means my LLC can now work directly with the schools, which is a big step for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
which
That's
is
huge.
it's a lot of, just a lot of paperwork, and kind of just like, it's why the book is so great, that it was like the book touches on stuff like that where it's just kind of chipping away by little by little, and it's kind of can feel a little overwhelming when you're doing a ton of that paperwork in the beginning. Like, I don't know what a lot of these documents are, you know, and it's hard to figure out what they mean when I do find them. And,
Using
but
Chat GPT to find try to what does this mean? What do
oh
these
no
terms
way,
mean?
it's not good. This time I don't trust it enough. I use it for something, I guess, but like it's fallible. Yeah, still, which is a funny impasse we're at, where it kind of just hasn't caught up all the way. Um, but anyway, yeah, so the schools are a big part of it. I still do individual lessons all the time. Um, I just live for it, man. I love it, dude. Like the Yuki verse is the best. Right now I'm on this big kind of recording tear through machine because I know a lot of musicians here. And I've been doing a bunch of they've been coming over here and you can kind of see behind me too. We got the electric drum set up
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and we got
Boom.
yeah,
Love
yeah.
it.
But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. We also do stuff with Uncommon Goods as another site. It's kind of like an Etsy sort of um where they have kind of bespoke gifts and I'm like their Yuki guy.
One and only Yuki guy. No, I
Yeah,
love it, man.
I'm the Yuki guy. And don't anybody forget, by the way, I may seem humble, but I am the best ukulele player in the world. I will take anybody on pound for pound. This is an open letter. This Magna Carta. Here we go.
Love it, man. So if so you obviously if you could so I'm just gonna yeah, what who would be I guess I mean, and obviously you've worked with a lot of musicians, a lot of different talents, but if you could collaborate with any artist, dead or alive, you're on the track as playing the uke, maybe doing the vocals, who who would be your featured artist that you'd pick, dead
Hmm.
or alive?
Can I choose another one of me? Could I? Because I could use another one of me.
Jake 2.0. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that answer even
Okay.
better.
Yeah. No, the ukulele is cool and it's got a cool history too because it's gone through this journey, right? In terms of popularity, it's really fluctuated even in our lifetime. And the story begins with the uke coming from an island off of Portugal called Madeira and these um workers brought the uke to Hawaii where there was work, okay?
Mm, mhm.
And so the laborers brought the four-stringed instrument, and it really took to in Hawaii. They really loved it because at the time they just had like flutes and like drums, and so they hadn't been introduced to like a chordal instrument because they're kind of shut off from the entire rest of the world. And so they got it, and then it became the national instrument. Kind of how it's known still to this day there, and they did teach it there. Then at the World's Fair in San Diego, it got brought over from Hawaii. And then it made its way into production in the mainland, got super popular up until about like the time of the electric guitar. So the
Mm,
electric guitar came on the scene like 60s, 50s, you know what I mean? And that eclipsed the ukulele in its popularity. So it kind of fades out of view. Whereas in the beginning of the 1900s and to about 1950, I think you, you would see it in every living room. It'd be like a parlor instrument, right?
interesting.
Be like
Okay.
ubiquitous is the word I that comes to mind. Um, and now obviously it's no longer ubiquitous at all. But before we flash forward there, we since you asked, is uh is there's a guy named Tiny Tim that is worth noting. Tiny Tim took the ukulele back another 200 years. No, he's an interesting story unto himself, but it was a gimmick with him, and he was kind of a gimmick comic,
Mm,
and
mhm.
so it got categorized there and became extremely camp.
Got it.
And then the next time I think the biggest turn, since it's kind of like now, as of today, when we're recording this, it's like it's super popular, right? Like, or not super popular, but kind of like not not uncool. You know what I mean? Like, and so,
Well, throw some respect on the uke, you
oh
know? Let's
yeah, but I'm realistic about how what the first like what maybe somebody who's not obsessed with this stuff is the so anyway, the big turn there I think was where is did Somewhere Over the Rainbow. There was that. Do you
Mhm,
remember that
mhm.
song?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, of course.
And that song, interesting story about that. They recorded that song 10 years before it got released. And when it
Wow,
got
I didn't
released,
know that.
yeah,
Wow, okay.
they recorded it. They didn't know it was gonna be what it was.
Yeah,
Uh, it just kinda like ended up on his album. He probably even like didn't even consider it one of his best on the, you know, 10 years. Anyway, so then we're kind of like meandering towards like more, current
mhm.
is there's a guy named Boy with Uke who's super popular right now. He's like he does this kind of like rap rock.
I'll have to check him out. I haven't heard of him.
He's
I'm
good. He is
yeah, okay.
good. He's edgy, and he's the my younger students, my teenage students, they like him a lot too. They've introduced me to it.
That's cool that they can take that instrument and kinda make it, like, relative to today's times. I mean, because I love all music, so that's cool that you can show your students, like, the uke's cool, you can make it in play it with any kinda genre, really, right? Is that kinda what you're saying?
I think that's what we have to do, and the fact that it's not cool, it makes the burden for us that much greater, and makes it that much more worthwhile in a way. Is that you have to prove somebody wrong. You're kind of going in with this thing like, wow, I didn't expect them to do that. And that's what I try and do at my shows all the time is like, like kind of elevate the instrument, make the craft, be proud of your craft and try and
Totally.
like, raise your craft. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Because yeah, teaching these kids an instrument, being proud to learn, and then also just being a part of the community, right? Like meeting new friends and just getting off the screens, get out of the bedroom. And then you mentioned COVID earlier. That was such a hard time for everyone, just everyone going to the digital route. Even
Mhm.
with, a lot of the work I've been doing with Jesse. Yeah, we had to completely pivot. And you know what though? It's beautiful because I mean, you're based in New York, but you can teach kids from anywhere, universe really. And that's kind of similar with us. We can coach kids from all over the world, which is beautiful. And I love that. So I just wanted to, do you have maybe an example or like a success story of maybe one of your students, or maybe, I don't know if you have a few that you could kind of give me a story of maybe how they came into your program. Maybe they were lost, maybe they were unsure, maybe they were reluctant to want to do this, but then after maybe they started doing this and learning and joining the community, you saw them kind of prosper and grow in some way or gain confidence. Do you have any like stories like that you could share?
I definitely do. I definitely.
Awesome.
And there's one. It's a good story and it's a sweet story, but it's an intense story. All right.
Mm,
So I was working at a school in South Brooklyn. This is last year, and I worked with about 30 kids at this school, and we saw each other every week for through the fall and the winter and into the spring, and we had a lot of fun. We learned to play. Some kids really take to it though. Some kids like it really like I think everybody has a few of those aha moments in each one of my courses, I hope, but there's some that like where just like it just triggers something in you, or you're just like maybe you're drawn to you're drawn to the archetype of the teacher, the teaching style or something like that. And so I had a student there that I was really proud of, and he had really come out of his shell, and his mother had said as much to me on several occasions, and we became Instagram friends, and they were interested in doing lessons. And a lot of people say they want to do lessons afterwards. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's see, if you're really, I don't want to be rude about it, but like, I don't know, So anyway, I kind of like, I'll admit, I think I kind of did that. I kind of gave them the brush a little bit, in that way. Um, just big, okay, sure, kind of. And anyway, the course ends, we have this great performance, all the kids wearing their black slacks and the white shirts. It's perfect. It's a well-run school. It's a nice
yeah.
school. Uh, and so I get a I get a call a couple weeks um, after the course ended,
Mm,
and I got a call from the school, and they let me know that the boy that I mentioned earlier, his
mm,
father had passed away.
mm.
And first of all, I was really honored that they would call me. You know what I mean? To like to even think to have me come.
Yeah.
and or like to not to come, but just to give me some information. I was like, okay, can I get her number? Because I didn't have her telephone number yet,
Yeah.
and so I called her, and I talked to him, talked to her, and you know, we were with uh we were with them like the whole weekend. We did all this, all the stuff that you do with around that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we hung out, and it was uh it was intense, obviously,
Right.
but
Right.
you just kind of take it moment by moment. And I'm really happy that I'm still in touch with we're still, the through the summer we've been in touch. We have been doing lessons. It got, I guess I had to concede the point. It's like, wow, this guy's kind of serious about it. All right. I guess he's pretty serious about it, and um, it was, you know, why I'm in this line of work, you know.
It's beautiful, man. That's great, man. And like you mentioned earlier, it's it's not just the instrument. Obviously, it's the teacher, the source behind it, right? The voice, and that's beautiful that they felt like that connected to you to share that with you, and they wanted you to come along just because you already had that impact so quickly. Yeah, that's rough.
It's a
It's
big yeah, it was really tough, and I will say this too, my wonderful girlfriend was with me the entire time. It speaks to her character also, like, she doesn't know this, but, I so it was just, like, really great to kinda come together, in that it was a huge honor I was sitting next to him the whole time too. It's like, it's just sometimes there are teachers like that, you do come
yeah,
across people, mentors
yeah,
and I think part of that too is like the way that I kind of approach like the pedagogical part of it. Like the philosopher like Heidegger, right? He talks about when does the waiter become the waiter? Well, I think the real thing there is that you're always yourself, and there's no other version of me, you know. So I don't do baby voice. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of how I run the thing. And so as a kid, I remember like being treated as an adult was the greatest of honor. That was kind of the you know, the tops, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's beautiful, man. No, I love that. I mean, it's so important now for teens. We say this a lot too. Is same message, different messenger. Teens nowadays are going through so many things. So to have a mentor, have somebody in your corner, a coach or whatever, instructor like yourself is just so important, and that connection can go a lot longer of a way than sometimes even the connection with their parents. Maybe the parents are saying the same thing, but it comes out of your mouth and with your personality, whatever advice you're given, and it just sticks to them better. So that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that story. That's really tough, but that just shows like you picked the right thing, right? You're still able to pursue your musical recording and doing everything, traveling and performing, but you have this base now where you're doing like this great work in the community, which is just kind of full circle, makes everything feel right. I think that's so cool that you're able to do that. Um, like I mentioned, like teens are struggling today. There's and obviously COVID seems like it's crazy that was almost 6 years ago. It's still like we're feeling impacted from it, and
Absolutely, I think it's
it's
so
crazy.
unrealistic to think like, to be a teenager right now and not think that you are a little stunted, like, that stuff, it's not that you're not it's not over for you, but
Yeah,
that is a huge setback, right? And it's
yeah,
like so I don't know, is you find that do people have a hard time kind of like, people don't wanna admit that, like, "Oh, maybe this thing did have an impact on," like,
yeah,
people don't wanna
totally.
talk about it. I get that too, yeah, like, "Let's just not talk about it," kinda thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's because I mean it was just trying to go to school digitally. And I mean, I have a stepson, and he for it was trying to learn through a screen. It's just so tough, and then you just the most next things the most littlest things so difficult for them, just to the communication skills and the lack of that, going out and being scared to go to order a coffee, or go to the store, or it's just to get them out of their room. That it was like a fear that was built up, and so having these programs, music or a sport or whatever it is, I feel it's just so important. And obviously the parents, it's their duty too to put their kids into these things. But yeah, COVID yeah, I hate even bringing it up because it was just such a terrible time, but at the same time it still resonates and it's affected people. And
We
like you
got
mentioned,
it. I think that's, like, almost like square one,
yeah,
is, like,
totally.
just being realistic about that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like being held back a grade and being forced into, like, confinement, you know?
Right,
Like,
right, and then yeah, and then go back, throw them back into it, and it's like there, it's when we're wearing the masks, it's just it's a complete, you can't look somebody in the face, you can't really, yeah, it was a crazy time, but we made it through, and but it's yeah, it's yeah, still trying to recover from it. A lot of kids are for sure. What is one thing then you would say today that you see the biggest issue for teens? And obviously the phone, screen time, but do you have an example of something like maybe the pressure that they're going through? Is what do you see as the biggest issue for teens today?
in New York, it's tough for kids for sure, man. I think, if you grew up in New York, you grew up pretty quick, a lot of these kids. I got a lot of it's kind of crazy talking to them too, because like, I'm back here in Ann Arbor. That's a whole other it's a whole other batch over there. They're fast talking. They'll be like, "Yeah, stores
Tell
are
you how they feel that they're not going to hold back.
Yeah, also, yeah, like, some stuff too, like, I remember growing up, I was pretty scared of the teacher. And some of these kids, there's not as much, but I'm not and that's not a dig. I think, what do I think is the biggest problem, or, there's a lot of kids that I was working with, um, who were younger. I don't know how much they're really in control of any of those, that kind of thing. But I do feel like in the older kids, like I did this high school program, this anti-gun violence high school
Mm,
program, on Staten Island. And I think the biggest thing that I saw there was, a feeling, and I'm not saying it's not warranted, but a feeling of apathy, you know? It's like there's some pretty concerning, you know, this concerning stuff, and they see it a lot and they hear about it, and you feel powerless. I feel, you know what I mean? Like, um and so I don't know how to remedy that. I guess the thing for me was just to have an outlet when I was feeling really overwhelmed, and um yeah, and to have some feeling that some kind, or at least like one adult in my life is like, like treats me, or speaks to me kind of, respectfully, and kind of also expects a lot of me, because that's the thing with my class too, is that I am fun, and we're joking around. It's good, it's hilarious, we have a great time, a lot of laughs, but I am very direct, like that's, and it's a strong hand, and that's can be a little jarring sometimes, but I think that can be helpful in the end, because, you gotta stand up for yourself, and you have to learn how to take, you know, take criticism, in stride, you know? Uh,
totally.
but I wouldn't really call what I do criticizing either. It's more of, we're learning. I'm your
Yeah,
teacher.
you're helping instill grit in them too. I mean, like you said, it's not an easy world,
Yeah,
and you
the
have to
grit, yeah.
sometimes you gotta put your foot down, and you gotta like, this is how I'm gonna do it, but it doesn't mean we can't have fun with it. And I think obviously you want to have both sides. You want to have the feel good, like trust, fun. I like this teacher because he's fun. He makes me feel good, makes me feel seen. But at the same time, he's not gonna, he's serious. He wants me to make sure I do these things. That's so
Yeah.
important to have that balance, and
Mhm.
to be able to manage that balance and make it come across to the teens or the kids that you know this is a free space. You can do what you want. You're gonna love it here, but we're gonna stay focused. We're gonna stay on task. That's great, man.
Yeah, it's like the hustle in the book. It's like he talks about
Yeah.
hustle up and down on the book.
Yep.
And, I think there's a part that you guys would appreciate, maybe, is, there's a thing I do in the beginning when we're first learning. It's like,
Mhm.
I'm like, if it's hurting, you're doing it right. You know what I mean? Because you do have to pinch it down a little bit. And it's
Yeah.
ow a little bit, but it's like, no, you gotta bear down on it, bite down, and just gotta, if it hurts, and it's like, it's intense. I like to say that I run the class somewhere between a chess club and a football team. You know what I'm saying? Full contact, but like we're musicians, so we're like smart.
Doing laps with the ukulele playing at the same time.
Oh
You gotta
yeah.
build that endurance up, man.
For
I love it.
real, yeah, there's one thing too that I got taught, this, because my classroom management is my is my downfall, because I'm trying to have fun too. And so one tip I got though that helped with that kind of thing is like, they called the brain break thing, where you stop in the middle and like everybody just does some push-ups. I love
Mm,
that. I love that.
yeah, no pain, no gain, man. I love it. Yeah, kinda break up the vibe a little bit too, and, yeah, that's
What
awesome.
does he say? He said, you can't hire out your push-ups.
Oh, yeah, you can't, yeah, exactly. You can't
See,
do
I
listen to this,
retained
man.
this.
Yeah, you got it. You can't
I
do your
even
own
made a list of notes. Is he gonna hear this? Does he ever hear these or no?
totally. Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
I have a list
Yeah,
of
he's gonna
things.
be impressed that you you've
I have
really
a list here. Is now an okay time to this is my yeah, all right. I liked the author's note a lot. I thought it talks a lot about stoicism, reminded me of Marcus Aurelius, you know? I
love it.
thought that was kind of a cool it kind of, went in there. The doggedness, that
Mhm,
was I liked the use of that word. Um, what other great gems do I have in my notes here? The harder it is, the more it's worth your time. This is another one from the obstacle is the way. That's it. The obstacle is the way. That's I don't know if you've heard of that book.
sounds familiar.
Yeah,
It
it's
sounds
a like
familiar.
a modern Stoic. A buddy of mine, my best friend Deontay, sent me that one, and he said you got to hear it. He's like, I know you're not into the self help stuff, and like because like I don't know, I like fiction or whatever or something. Like real books. No, just kidding. No, no.
Real stuff,
But
yeah,
hey, a good book is a good book, and
totally.
I do think this was a nice book.
That's great, man.
I had a
I love
good
to hear
time.
that I love to hear that you got so much out of it, and, yeah, Jesse's underdog story is great. He's definitely done a lot and helped so many people, and that's what we're continuing to do. It's our mission. There's so many like teens are struggling. What can we do? Be that mentor, that extra voice, that refreshing voice, kind of like what you're doing with your students. Um, so you mentioned obviously you were troubled when you were younger. You had dealt through some stuff. Did you
Mhm.
have a mentor or a teacher or someone in your corner that you can get, that kind of brought you out the other side and helped you kind of see
Oh,
things?
absolutely. I see. I was very fortunate to have a very. I've got the best old man. You know. Um, and so when you know, it was a broken home. You know what I'm saying? So like so there was everybody separated, and when I got in trouble, I I knew that with him I could, kind of still be myself around him, and I still felt like, it wasn't over. It was easy to lose absolute hope, and there was some despair for sure, man. I mean, 15 and you're in the clink, like it's a bad start, brother. And and so it was that's really what kinda and also was, a lot of my friends stuck around for
Mhm.
me, which was like, I did lose, some contact because loss of proximity, but I also, it was very nice that I felt like I still had friends somewhere, and it was, so kind of developing that sense of community, and that's like, that's why bands are great, starting like you start playing music, you start this bond with people, you have a pastime, and a lot of those musician friends that I started with 10 years ago, I'm going to have on my next album, or a couple of them were playing at my gig last night at the North Star Lounge in Ann Arbor. Um, I think like to get through those times, it's kind of like, how's the saying go? Like it really is each other is all we have,
Yeah,
you know?
supporting having that right circle of friends, right? Those people that are going to have your back, support you even when you're doing the wrong things to maybe get you back on track. And that's so interesting. That's so cool. You mentioned that about your
I
dad.
refute that though too, though, Adam, because
Yeah.
I wasn't doing nothing that nobody else wasn't also doing.
Mm,
Okay. And
okay.
so I think it was more that I was being a little more reckless
Mm,
about it.
mm-hmm.
And that was me lashing out, or there's other elements to the story too. But I want to say like I guess like I'm trying to to defend my reputation here a little bit, because it's like that was how I felt about it. It wasn't, like I said, I would never hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing
Right.
crazy at all. It's you're at the party and the cops busted up, right? It's that kind of thing.
Get it.
And
Yeah.
but I felt a lot of shame about it, and maybe that's why I'm like kind of reacting. Is trying to clean up after it so much, because at the time I did feel a lot of guilt and shame about it,
Hmm.
about having got in trouble, and being a teenager. I feel like you're super susceptible to that. Like
Yeah.
shame is not your friend. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't do you any good. No, that's great though. You came out on the other side. You're doing all these great things now. So the old man did something right, that's for sure. And
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna go to a
great.
Tigers game today.
Oh man, I love
Yeah.
it. Love it, man. I'm a huge baseball fan. You wear, is that a Mets jersey?
Yeah, I'm gonna wear the Mets jersey, though.
I was like, hey, okay. I saw that earlier. I was like, all right.
I
Yeah.
always love the random guy at the baseball game, like, he's like, "Is that a Diamondbacks jersey?"
Wrong field, man. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like National League too, it's not even right.
Well, honestly, brother, this has been great. I have just one more question for you. But I feel really great about this. I think you've covered so many great things, and yeah, it's been great to get to know you and hear your story. And I think our listeners, and mostly our listeners are parents of teens. So to hear your perspective of how you had your trouble, got through it, all these great people that were in your corner that helped you get through these things, and you made the big move to NYC. You're doing all these great things with your program. Now you're returning the favor, helping these young people out with their things they're struggling with that maybe not even be on the surface, but when after they get a hold of that uke, man, it's like a
It can
whole
treat
thing
exactly.
can click, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I really hope if they enjoyed if they're compelled to share it with their teen too, it's kind of an interesting slice of life. This kind of like it feels like a little bit like a This American Life kind of vibe on this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh and one other thing I wanted to add too is like thing that you guys do that I also love is it absolutely like a huge fan of is the assemblies. Is
Mm,
like,
mhm.
I've been doing the school assemblies here and like I can only imagine the amount of fun you guys are having because those are just the best.
I've been privileged to travel with Jesse to some of like the most remote villages in Alaska. We've been to all over Portland, Texas,
That's the
Florida.
dream, dude. That's so fun.
It's so cool to see these different people, all these kids in these different cultures, and how they react. And I mean, I'm talking just the smallest towns in Alaska that we had to take these little single engine planes to, and I'm having a panic attack. But I've always been the content person for Jesse, so all the video and photo that you've seen on his websites and on the videos, that's all stuff that we've created over the past 10 years that I've known him. And so we've
Oh,
done
great
some
work,
really
Adam.
I appreciate you. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we're just keep going. We're gonna keep building this and keep on pushing and helping as many teens as we can because they need it. They need the help, and it's beautiful. So, last question: if you could go back to the younger version of yourself, let's say the 14, 15-year-old version, stand in front of you. You're at a party. You're about to go to juvie or whatever it is. You could give yourself, your younger self, one piece of advice or piece of wisdom. What would you tell yourself?
Oh man, I the regret go back. I don't know if I would do that, but if I guess, what would I tell myself? I guess the biggest thing I wish I would have done is I just wished I would have started playing ukulele sooner, honestly. But it all happens when it's supposed to, so you can't. It's gonna like that's the thing with the teens or your job or anything is that it's gonna work however it's gonna work, and we can only control so much, right? And I feel like maybe that would be the thing, like to try and just relinquish trying to control everything a little bit, and it's gonna happen. And then sometimes you happen with life, sometimes life happens at you, just you gotta ride it. So,
Love that.
yeah, I don't know, I hope that's something.
Dude, no, that was a home run. That was perfect. Honestly, that's so great because yeah, you have time, right? Things are going to happen when they align and happen for that reason. You can't
Yeah,
rush things. You can't force it. And teens are so, I feel nowadays the pressure to like do things and do so much. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do in college until my like first or second year. And so, there's just the pressure. You got to just let things fall into place naturally. You can't rush it. So I love that. I think that
yeah,
was
and there's
perfect.
pressure on the parents too, it's hard to
Yeah.
relinquish that, and,
Yeah.
like, that I was gonna do whatever I was gonna do, and that's just what that's the story all the time with teenagers, right? And that is one thing that I have seen it's really that was hard, that was a difficult thing in my family, I think, for some people, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's an interesting conversation. I really appreciate the work you're doing, man.
Jake, this has been awesome. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you joining us and coming on here, sharing your story and all the cool things you're doing. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, appreciate you. Before we end this, can you tell people We'll put it up on the screen where they can find you, the best links, or what's the best way for people to reach you.
Yeah, so if you've listened to this entire episode by now you're a member of the Yukiverse. Congratulations,
Hey,
you've made it. Good job, Yukis. First thing you got to do as a Yuki, obviously, you got to go fire up that Spotify or that Apple
yep,
Music, all right, or
yep.
whatever. It's all over the place. But my album is called Direct Line In, and I really hope it is a direct line in. I try and hope that it elevates the instrument, which we were talking about a lot earlier. My website is ukulelejake.com. Don't even try and learn how to play or spell ukulele. You'll never learn. It's impossible. It's never been done. Um, yeah,
I will admit I made that mistake a few times. Even just typing in your name here, I was like, UKE,
yeah,
no, UKU. I
yeah.
got it.
I've
Um,
never felt so small. Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much again, man. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you for everything you're doing, man.
My pleasure, Adam. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
See ya.